Now that you have the knowledge of creating corner points and curve points, we can actually get a little bit more adventurous and construct something more intricate. The one actually was quite easy. Intricate is things like zeros and twos, okay? We've got some interesting shapes here that really just use exactly the same principles. So let's start with the zero because that is actually the easiest out of all of them. Once again, let's select the Bezier pen tool and we're going to simply start on the outside here, right in the middle at the top. I'm going to click and this time drag, holding down the shift key. All of the points on a zero are curve points. There are no corner points, so we don't want to simply click here because it'll make it harder to close the path once we come all the way around, okay? So I'm going to shift and drag out to, I don't know, somewhere that's kind of halfway between the top and the side. If you drew a straight line up, you can sort of gauge a roughly halfway point there. Now likewise, we're going to click halfway down the right hand side and once again shift and drag, and there you see that's why we drew a curve point to start with, because the first handle is helping define the second one. Alright, now we have our handle here. It'll help when we come down to the bottom, and again click and drag, hold down that shift key, draw out that point. Isn't it amazing how simple the curves actually are once you start to figure out the drag and everything else? Zeros always look quite imposing, or these curved O shapes or R's and that kind of thing, but really they're not. Once you understand where the points go, it's actually quite a smooth process. So again, left hand side, click and drag with the shift and we'll drag up to define that path. And once again, come over to the top. Now don't just click and let go. Let's click and drag out and make sure that we define that curve again. Perfect. All right. Let's do the same on the inside. Click again in the center. Drag a short handle this time. Doesn't want to be too long. Come down to the middle or somewhere in the middle. Click and drag. Same thing. Shift on the way down. Define that curve. All right. Now, down at the bottom, let's do the same thing. Little shift to get a short handle there. Middle, click and shift all the way up. Now do bear in mind we're holding down the shift key after we click, alright? That's a very important thing. Click and drag, then hold down your shift key and close that path up, alright? Didn't take long, did it, to create that zero? Well, let's go one step further and combine the corners and the curve points to finalize our last letter here, and this is going to be our number 2. So you can choose to start and finish wherever you want to. If I see an object like this that needs to be drawn, I will usually start with a straight path, somewhere around here. That's usually the easiest point, either here or down at the bottom. It honestly just makes things a little bit easier to do. So once again, like we did with the number 1, let's start with a corner point. Hold down the shift key and click again for another corner point. Alright, now I'm choosing to go clockwise around this. It's up to you whichever way you wish to do it. But then we can start to build the lower shape here. So what I would suggest is that we hold down our shift key, in this case in advance, so that we get a straight point that's directly underneath this one. Hold down your shift key, click and drag, and get a small handle there. Alright, that basically keeps this straight. Now we can come to the bottom, or maybe sort of part way around here, and just drag down with a curve. Alright, keep doing the same, just following the shape around. Let's get a nice curve in there. And in fact, let's maybe come down here, click and drag and pull a curve in there. Wonderful. Alright. Now again, we need this to be a straight point, so do make sure you click on that to chop off the next handle and leave the previous one. Hold down your shift key and click over here to get a nice straight edge. Then again, you can start building up the small curves as you work your way around. So let's place one somewhere up here, and again, focus on the shape that you've previously drawn. Okay. Continue your way around. Let's just draw another curve somewhere in the middle here. Everything is obviously editable at the end. Do bear that in mind. The direct selection tool is going to be your friend. Once you've drawn a path like this and you need to make changes, just go ahead and use the direct selection tool to select the points and move them around. But for the most part, if you construct it correctly, you shouldn't have to do too much editing. Follow this around and definitely practice this function in future as well. Like I say, drawing around type is a fantastic way to learn how the Bezier pen tool works. Alright. Now when we get to the top here, we could do like we've done with the zero and shift drag across just to make sure we get a nice even curve. We could shift drag down here, or sorry, drag and shift. Let's make sure we get the order correct. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that'll do. Not so bad. And then come down here and probably somewhere down there will do. Okay, that looks pretty good. And once again, we're going to come into a corner point here. So let's drag and get that previous path finished. All right, that looks pretty good. Once again, click to chop off that second half, and now we can draw a new curve that comes out of here somewhere around there. Let's come down and just create a short curve there. Maybe another one that comes up here, points roughly in the final direction we're going to head, and naturally, we click and close that point right there. Okay, so once again, go back to your main selection tool, click and deselect. If you've completed both of those things in roughly the same amount of time it's just taken me, congratulations, that's some pretty serious work. You've created two very intricate shapes there.